Good evening, everyone. This is Anne Marie with a short note on how to use the treasure map and how to read these formations. I'll start with DD, that's DuPont. The chart is showing a completed Gartley, but momentum holds below. The Gartley is a bearish Gartley, but momentum holding below. Actually, I took this trade conditionally, so I am active here. The customary thing to do is wait for the retest. Wait for the retest. Here's what happened with 3D today, and let me explain what I mean about that Gartley. So we're going to put, DuPont. It's not 3D, it is DD. We are going to move that to a daily chart, and then going to move this one to an hourly chart. We'll leave the one in the middle as a 30-minute chart. Notice the chart ended right at the VPOC, the volume point of control. Let's talk a little bit about what it is that we need to look at when we take a look at the elements in a treasure map. Here's the number one thing. Unless I tell you something specific, you should always take the retest of a trade, not the first breach. So what that means is 71.35 here. I am worse off for it, stepping in early. All right, so do remember that. The best thing to do is wait for the retest. See how that says 71.35? You want to look for it to break and then come back to test it and then hold it again. Let's take a look at what happened here. This chart came in 2 pennies above the trigger point and completely reversed. Notice what it did. It gave a lower high, never recaptured the area, and now coming into support. So here's my thought. My thought is that the short in 3D is the actual trade that was going to transpire. This is the short right here. Some folks go, well, why do you have short and long? Because the reason they get into the treasure map is because they're at a decision zone and they can go easily in either direction. Sometimes it will break out and pop right into first or second targets and then the trade will be over. Sometimes it'll break down, the same thing will happen. Or sometimes it'll break in a direction we do not anticipate, but we certainly know if it does it, where it's going to go. So I am still expecting that this DuPont short triggers. The long just happened to trigger today, but it backed off of it. I had a conditional long in there for whatever reason, just really essentially should have waited on the retest of the area, but instead of having a trigger, it was a conditional event, meaning I set the order out and then just left it. Okay? Now, here's the thing. 3D is now looking at a higher stop because of the breach. So notice this. It says raise stop to 70.90. And so you're going to go in there and you're going to raise the stop to 70.90 instead of the 69.98. Okay? If it recaptures the level, that's beautiful. It'll go into likely the first target, but then quickly begin to back down because there is a Gartley here that is complete. And let me show that to you. Here in this formation, it is right over here. This is the Gartley, and I will show it to you very quickly. Now, could this Gartley end up being something else? You better believe it. These things change shape all the time. And right now, this one is in a very nice completed Gartley. Let's expand it out so you can see. When I talk about forms and things happening in the charts, really all you have to think about is where is support, where is resistance, and is my momentum holding? So when you have questions about a trade, the first thing to do is use the fact that I do not advertise, so I have a small group of people that come in and work with me, and you have access to me. I'm as easy as an email away. Okay, so when you're working through those things and you go, wait, I don't understand what that means. What is that? Chances are you're not the only one. I can put up a little video, show people what to do. Okay, so again, number one, the first thing that you need to do is set an alert above the line, allow it to trigger, then watch it come back and retest the area. If you say, well, wait a second, I just go during the day. At the end of the day is the only time. Listen, that's perfect. That's perfect because it triggered. You're going to have to come in. You'll see it lower. Watch it trigger again. Do you see this stop right here? It's the gap fill event. Here is the edge, so that's pushing it up over the gap. If it pops up into that region, you're going to wait for it again to come back. Remember, it's not about how fast you get in the trade, it's about how well you get into the trade. And if the trade is going to run, it is going to hold up and have a proper formation. That's what I'm looking for, a good solid formation. So when it gets up here, it will likely pull back into that same 71.37 area, maybe a little higher. I'll look at it at the end of the day. If it looks like it's going to do something other than that, then you're in great shape. Otherwise, always a good idea to allow it to retest. For those of us that are able to look at the charts more actively, you want to look at that and it comes in on an hourly space and bounces out, you are in great shape. You're probably going to get better. You're probably going to get in at a better space than the person who has to look at it at the end of every day. You just must wait for a rotation. Every chart that has important levels comes back to test those levels. They never accelerate away from them. And the great thing is, every single trade that I put up, the target space is one that is important. So it will retest 9 times out of 10. All right, so when you're looking at something like that and it says momentum is still holding, when you look at a Gartley, it's going to be a bearish Gartley. Obviously, if it's going up and I'm saying momentum is holding, and it's supposed to reverse, then you know you need to pay attention to that. All right? Allow these things to trigger. Allow them to close above. If you are trading these things on the swing, you can, in all likelihood, wait for the retest of the event and then set up yourself very, very nicely in the trade. It works really well.